Okay.
I'd set the tone for this evening's Trot Talk session. Welcome, everybody. I think most of you know me. For those that don't, my name is Charlie Longo. I am the general manager for Go for Glory, and I am your host for this evening's Trot Talk session featuring Rob and Patti Harmon. With me is my president, El Presidente, and our founder, Pedro Baez. Pedro, say hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
So, just to give you a little backstory, real quick, for those that are tuning in for the first time, I know Pedro about 7 years, I'd say, 7 or 8 years since 2017. We always seem to cross paths along the way, usually at the big races like the Hambletonian. Um, where else do we meet? Yonkers.
International Trot.
Yes, the International Trot. We were sitting next to each other, and he taps me on the shoulder. I was with my father-in-law, and he was with his family. So that was pretty cool. And I want to say it probably all started right then and there because Pedro knew what I'd been doing for the past I don't know, 10 years with two stables. And I always followed Pedro along the way. He was very, very active on social media, over the years. And always very passionate, knowledgeable about the sport, really cared. And I just had a sixth sense that one day, Pedro was going to be doing what I've been doing for the last 10 years. And sure enough, in December, I get a text message from him out of the blue. And he says, "Hey, I like what you guys have been doing. And, I'm pretty much doing the same thing right now. And, I think our interests kind of align. And I think we can, do some serious business together, if you want to combine forces." So he said, "Let's think about it and, get back to me and see what you think." So I thought about it, and we had a couple of conversations, and he told me what his vision was for starting another fractional ownership group. And as you're aware, there's not really too many out there of significance. Quite honestly, there's really only two that have been in longer than us. And Pedro told me what he was willing to do as far as making a major investment in the platform to rival what the other two are doing. And I got to say, he got me really excited. And I'm thinking, if I don't do this with him, he's just going to gobble me up, and I'm going to be like a little fish. And I think I better, hook up with this guy because, I have the experience, I have the contacts, and Pedro's got the brain power. He's really good, on the tech side. He's got a lot of super ideas, and I'm really, really pleased with where we've been and where we're going. It's like every week we're adding like a new feature, which quite honestly, the other guys don't really have. And I think in another year or two, people are they're gonna know our names and they're gonna be talking about us and they're gonna want to invest with us. And I really think, down the road, we're gonna be looking at 30, 40, 50 horses. I really believe that. But small steps. We hit a few bumps in the road to start, but things are starting to come along. I like what we see, on with the babies, the 2 and 3 year olds with Paul Kelly. They're making really good progress, and I'm very, very excited. And I really like what we have with Rob and Patty. Um, uh, Everybody was pleasantly surprised with Soho's race yesterday. So, we have a nice little stable, and it's going to get better. We lost one today with Pearl Harbor, and that's okay. We had Pearl for 4 years, and the intention was to put her in a spot where she could get claimed, and then we could get into something else and get better quality stock. So we're really excited about that. So anyway, I just want to throw a shout out to Bob Fidanza, who, like I mentioned, is on the road right now. Bob is our GFG reporter, and he's doing an amazing job with his Gazette and press releases and having a lot of fun. And I think that's something that's really innovative, and people are starting to take notice on social media. So that's a good thing. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our guests, our trainers, Rob and Patty Harmon, tonight. I've been associated with the Harmon since, to be exact, November of 2017. Catch a Lefty was our first horse that we imported, and we had some good success with Lefty early on. He wound up having some issues, and believe it or not, he's still racing today, albeit at Buffalo Raceway. And he's probably in a six claimer or an eight claimer, but he's still a war horse at 13 years old. So it's pretty cool to see him still going. And a couple of other nice names that we've had. Some top earners we had were Kerford Road, which was our best horse, earned over $206,000 for us, and it is still racing. As is Waymack Attack, who just won the
Yeah.
other night at Yonkers. Waymack, we earned about 175,000 with Waymack, and we can't forget my personal favorite, the Charging Moa. Uh,
Oh yeah.
who was winning up until the very end at age 13 or 14, I forget, at Tioga. As a matter of fact, she beat me in one of the races I drove in the amateurs. But if I was going to lose, it was a bittersweet feeling. I was really happy to lose to her. And the good news is, and I saw Allie posted this week that Mower is in full, which is really, really exciting. And who knows,
Yeah.
maybe we'll be offered a piece of the baby down the road. That
Yeah.
would be kind of fun and go in full circle with her. So anyway, for those of you that aren't too familiar with Patty and Rob, I just happened to pull up their racing statistics over the years, and I got to say it's really, really impressive. Patty and Rob combined have had over 25,000 starts. Did you really think they had that many? I don't know. That's a lot of starts, 25,000 starts. They've got 4,434 wins, and their earnings are nearly 35 million. That's right,
Where is
35
it?
million. $34,627,504 to be exact. Very, very impressive. Universal Trainer UTRS for Rob is 299, which is really good. But Patty kind of blows him away. She's at 327. So
I
combined,
retired at that.
yeah, that's really good. And I don't know what the combined UTRS is. I'm not about to go figuring that out. It's kind of a complicated formula. And for those that don't know, Rob, you might see Rob in qualifiers and occasionally driving here and there and some regular races, some amateur races. But Rob is no slouch in the race bike. Rob has 5,661 starts and 680 wins. That's pretty damn good. And he started driving back in 1986.
That's when I was skinny.
That's 50 pounds ago, probably.
You're showing our age, Charlie.
Yeah. And Rob has a lifetime UDRS of 230, which is good. I mean, he's driving against all the pros pretty much throughout his career. So very impressive numbers there. So anyway, I just wanted to get into some questions with Rob so that everyone could get a little bit more familiar with you and Patty, of course. So Rob, if you could just tell everyone, I mean, I know how you got, I pretty much know your history, but for those that don't know, just tell everybody how you got started in the business. Who are some of the horsemen that maybe were a great influence on you over the years, in your early years, both as a trainer and a driver?
Yeah, when I was growing up, my dad was a pretty successful corrective blacksmith. A lot of people used to bring horses to him to get them off their knees or stuff, and he taught me everything I know about shoeing. And that's when he was still alive. He ended up getting brain cancer when I was 19, and he ended up passing away right before my 21st birthday. And he used to come out in his wheelchair and used to get mad at me, um, trying to show me how to shoe. And when he was paralyzed from his waist down, and of course, the biggest thing that he used to always say was, "You don't know that you don't know." Because every time he would show me something, I say, "I know, I know, I know," and he'd grab the shoe and slam it on the anvil, and the boring would fall off. Like you got to, there's an art to it. You got to learn how to melt it in and stuff. And there's so much that he said to me um, when we were in the 2 years that he was in his wheelchair that I didn't even hear until he's gone. And then it's like everything he said, it's like I can hear him to his voice to this day saying everything. And that's something I miss. And after that, I end up, for the first 6 months, I was still driving horses. I started driving for Gordon Norris. That was the fall of 91. And then I was so tired for a year. Everybody kept saying, "Hey, sorry about you." I walk in the pack. Sorry about your dad. You know, he was a great guy, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, I couldn't get away from it. So I ended up meeting Larry Miller. He was a race secretary at Monticello. And that's where I came out. I met Patti. And that's kind of like how we got to know each other. And I went back and I started working for Keith Crawford. That lasted for about a year. And then I ended up starting working for Gordon Norris. That was just right at 2 years. And them guys, they were both leading trainers in Michigan. Keith was more of a trotting guy, did his own shoeing. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot more from him. And then when I worked for Gordon, he had 160 horses here and then like 100 down in Florida. And he was kind of like the Burke before Burke. And you learn definitely a lot there when you learn. And that's how, when we can manage our numbers. When we're in Michigan, we got up to like close to 70 when we had our own farm. And then when Windsor started to close, we the main owner I had, Chuck Campbell, he had 32 horses of ours of like the 70 that we had. And he says the 3 best horses are going out to New York to race Meadowlands. He says, I don't want to take them away, but I can tell you they're not coming back. So if you want to keep them, you need to send somebody out there. And they were the 3 best horses we had. So of course my brother was going out and Patti went. She lasted for about 3 weeks and says, I want to come home. I was at home with Tyler. Tyler was he just started hockey. I think.
Yeah. He was like 3.
No, he was like 6.
Was he? Like,
it was like 92, 93 you came out.
yeah.
And she lasted a little bit, and then I came out. No, it was later than that because I came out and I ended up staying. I never came back home.
Yeah.
That was 2008, 2009, and that was when the Meadowlands closed. We lasted 1 year at the Meadowlands, and then they closed the barn area, and that's when I moved up to Ford's.
So what was the state of harness racing in Michigan at that point, around 2008?
At that time, Michigan was still going good. The fairs were starting to they were starting to beat up the fairs, like taking money away. But Hazel was still going. Mm-hmm. Nobody thought Hazel Park would close because that was pretty much our main track. And Windsor, I was leading trainer there for like 2 years in a row, and we always did good because we'd bounce. We'd go to Windsor, London, and a little bit over at Sarnia, which is Hiawatha Park, and then the better horse we'd take up to Toronto, and that was fun. But when they said Windsor was closing, we left. That was 2000. I think they closed in 2011 because we left a couple of years earlier. They said they're only going to last 2 more years, and then that's when we kind of like started getting rid of horses, and that was horses that couldn't do out east, and pretty much that's what we were planning on doing. Horses, Augie Abatel's. It's gorgeous up there, mountains and everything. Went down, saw George Zitone. George has been begging me to come down to rent, and because it's just sitting there empty. I think there might have been 20 horses there, and but there was a lot of work had to be done. And I come pulling in the driveway. I met him right when I was coming in. He was coming out, and he goes, "You coming down?" I go, "Well, today's the day." I says, because I'm looking for a place to go. He goes, "Let's deal." So me and her went.
We got a partner.
Me and her had 3 days that we didn't talk.
I'm like, it's a lot of work to take on a farm.
I'll tell you why. Because when I left that farm, I gave the guy a check for $5,000. She found it about 10 days later when it went through the bank, and she goes, "Why are we paying George Zitone $5,000?" I go, "Because we bought a farm." And she's like, "You told me we're never going to get another farm." Because we said this is so nice not to have a farm. We could just.
Yeah.
If we got out, we can just get rid of the horses, and we have nothing.
But we always had our own farm in Michigan, and we did like it.
Oh,
it's just nice to have.
Out here, it's a lot
place.
different. Way more expensive out here.
Yeah.
So you have no regrets?
No, I mean, George, it is nice now. We do like it. We took on a partner with Steve Finkelstein.
Yeah.
Jez Morrell stable.
Jez Morrell
and his trainer. So we own a third of the farm with Steve.
And he's put a lot of money into it, and we have, and just got it.
He asked me what we wanted to do, and I says, "Well, I like the blacktop, everything." And I told him we had some money saved up, and she goes, "You're not going through our life savings." She goes, "You want the farm? Fine. you get a
So that's
partner.
why we took the partner, but it worked out good because Steve's a great partner
Yeah,
and great
yeah.
guy to have at the farm, and it's been good. The track's
So
we always
yeah,
know we can get on our track.
Monticello could have raced that Big Z over the
They,
past month.
yeah,
The cool thing about our farm is the track. You can ask anybody, Mickey McNichols, anybody that raced in the fairs. They used to have the New York Sire Stakes there back in the early
New Jersey,
80s. New Jersey, yeah, New Jersey Sire Stakes, and everybody would tell you how good the track was back then. And
Right.
and really, the track is just awesome.
It is a nice track,
and
very
it's more you put into it, the way better it is. Like it's never bad. You can only make it better with work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's everybody's there that just loves it. So it's our horses' feet are nice, and I mean it's you can't beat it.
No.
I like it.
No,
I wish it wasn't.
you
I
have a
wish
lot
it
of great
wasn't
amenities for sure, and I'm not sure that all the other training centers
Yeah, we
have what you
we end
have.
up putting a pool in. We put a pool, a cold water spa, and then there's a wheel too.
Right.
So
So this next question is for Patty. Patty, you work alongside with Rob. If I had to work alongside with my wife all these years, she probably would have killed me by now. So how do you two make it work, and how do you kind of divvy up, share the responsibilities of, running the business of a training center as well as a big stable?
Yeah, well, we just pitch in and do a little of everything. He does all the horses. I don't do any of the track work, and I do know what, goes on with all of our horses. I do all the billing, and I interact with a lot of the owners, and but he does all the entering, and he does all the, where they belong, and um the maintenance of them.
Hmm.
So, and then as far as the farm is the same thing. He does all the track work.
Right.
So it just works. We just make it work,
And who enters the horses, checks the condition sheets? Do you do that together, or
I do that.
He does that. I
you do
try
it?
to, but he doesn't like it when I do.
No, because she
Got
falls
it.
in love.
so I leave that to him. But it's
Got
just
it.
always worked. Like we've always like he really does most of, whatever the stable needs is up to him, and he handles all that. I just, like I said, interact with the owners and interact with the billing and stuff like that.
Gotcha. So my next question, out of your, I don't know, I guess 25,000 some starts, it's a lot of races. What are some of your, I guess, most memorable wins, or special horses that have kind of been near and dear to your heart over the years?
We got one that put us on the map. She made CC Spice. She was our first Ohio Sire State champion at 2 and 3.
She win every race at 2, and then at 3, she win most of her races. She ended up making just over 800,000.
Oh, wow.
She raced in the Breeders' Crown in
She was a
2000.
homebred. We had
Yeah.
Chuck Campbell. That was one of the guys we trained for. He had the mare. And
Did
she
you
was-
own that one, or you?
No, we did not.
Chuck did. He owned the
Yeah.
brood mare, and he bred it to In the Pocket. That was like right before In the Pocket went to New Zealand or Australia, and she was just a freak of nature. She was her mom was a half sister to Art Dialing.
Mm-hmm.
She was out of the Jim Campbell and Fashion Farms mares.
Hmm.
She was a nice mare.
She
The family was
unbelievable.
always nice. We had a couple sisters that made, just about as much as she did. And
But she went to American National in Chicago. She won a couple good the race in Cleveland. Or the pink
the courageous lady.
Okay. Any others come to mind?
We had Scotty C, a half brother to him. He was in the 2-year-old $1 million race.
Oh, wow.
He got a third.
That was named after his son that passed away.
Yeah, he lost a son, and he named it after him. And he was a pretty decent horse. He raced good down in Lexington for us, and we put him in the big race at
Toronto, going for $1 million. He ended up being 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah, it was. It was wild. That was the first time we ever got that. Well, when CC Spice raced up there in the Roses Are Red, we had Jack Moiseyev was supposed to drive. And when I shipped up, I always stayed at Jack's farm. I got to be really good friends with him. And he had to drive one of Robinson's. So he says, there's a guy you can drive. I don't know if you want him. It's Campbell. I'm like, whatever. So he was there the weekend before, and we ended up being second in the elimination. And I said, John, are you coming back? He goes, I'm coming back. He goes, who do you got? And I never met John Campbell before. And he goes, I go, CC Spice. He goes,
I'd love to drive
I would
her.
love to drive her. He says, but I got to race in the cane. That was the first year the cane raced at Freehold. He goes, there's a bunch of us coming on the plane. You got to take care of my airfare.
And we helped that out.
So I called Chuck and I go, Chuck, you can get Campbell to drive, but you got to pay for his airfare. And he said, no problem. And then he shit when he saw it was 800, but it was well worth it. We ended up being fifth, we were fourth, I think, in that race. And just got beat. We were in against loyal opposition, all the good mares back in the day, Burning Point.
Wow.
So that was fun.
Good deal. Okay, so now let's get into some of the horses that we have with the racing stable, and the first one that I had on the list was Pearl Harbor, who is no longer in our stable as of
I
today.
like her. I mean, and I know we kind of went rounds there probably about a month ago. She's always she showed me better, but like she's so inconsistent right now, and
she's a tricky to drive too. Like she just needs certain things done in the miles. And, Braxton got on her, maybe not knowing her. He did a tremendous job with her the first start. And then the second start, he's like, well, let's do this. And, it's like,
well, the third start, he wanted to change her bridle around. I'm like, I said, she don't go good with a blinker hood. And I want blinker hood earplugs. Well, then she was sick. And it's just one thing after another.
Yeah.
I just wish sometimes
even today, like I wish Jay didn't leave with her because it's a short field. She likes to close. She likes to beat horses up front. It's not her thing.
Right. She's the kind of mare that loves to be grabbed into and not
Yeah.
chased. And she's the kind you want to stuff on somebody's helmet. And because you get her out by her first over or second or first over or on the front, she wants to just run in. She's rubberneck.
Yeah.
If she's following somebody. But like after she left out there and zinged her to the quarter, it wasn't that hard. But it's just she gets halfway by and then you got to ask her, and it's like she's temperamental. She'd rather be just jammed in and get mad instead of chasing her with the whip. She just don't like it.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that Jay left too, but then again, maybe he was looking at the board and saw at that point she was either the favorite or the co-favorite. But that's fine. The main thing is we put her in a spot where she could get taken, and she did. And quite honestly, I was surprised she got taken today. We knew it was a possibility, but when I saw 10-1 morning line odds, I didn't think that was going to happen. But no, we're all happy, and now we can get our claim check and move on to something else.
Yeah.
Hopefully a Plain Ridge.
I wouldn't be surprised if they breed her. I think the owner who claimed her, I think he breeds.
Oh, really?
She is like she's a Sunbees, right? She
is a beautiful mare. Like she's just. I don't think we did any vet work on her one time since we owned her.
She's never had it.
She's never had any vet work done. She's just a solid,
And she's a good looking mare.
Yeah, I said the same thing to Pedro. I said I'd be very. I said if I was a breeder, I don't know how good her bloodlines were or whatever going back. I don't really look at pedigree all too much. Pedro's more of a pedigree guy, but I said, but man, for 12 grand, I would think she probably could be a pretty decent brood mare. She's only 9, so
right.
Well, we wish her luck, and we'll move on to the next horse, which has got to go Milking. We were real excited initially when we got Milk, and there's been some setbacks. So where are we now with Milk?
Milken's qualifying tomorrow. But last year when we bought him, Frank Rinaldi, the agent, he said, you got to watch this horse. So we watched him, and literally a cow farmer had the horse. And that's where the name came from. They're the biggest milk producer, and it's either Australia or New Zealand.
Yep.
But they're one of the biggest milk producers over there. And that's how they come up with all the milking horses. And we got him, and he was just unbelievable for probably the first 5 or 6 starts. And then the last 2, he was just flat. And I didn't think anything. I thought maybe he just got a little sour on the U.S. racing, so we stopped with him. And then when he came back, he trained down good, and he qualified. The day he qualified,
he was good that day.
Well, they went 2-2, but it was real windy or cold that day.
Right, and he had the outside.
Yeah, but it still don't matter. He still went 2-2, but he just didn't get home like himself. Mike goes, oh, that's a good mile today. If you know Mike Merton, he's like, yeah, that's a good mile today. And so I didn't think anything about it. And then we raced him at Pocono, and he got everything his own way, and it was real windy that day. I think it was in the mud or windy, and he come to a walk finish, and Tyler's like, he probably not ready for the wind. I think it was real windy that day too.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's just not right. So we took him up to Saratoga. I thought, okay, well, he fits cheaper. And then he just couldn't
Same
breathe.
thing.
Same thing. Like he couldn't get off the gate. And before, he's never been that kind of horse. He could
Right.
always just snap off the gate, like boom, he's there. And God, I was trying to come up with. I hate coming up with excuses for horses. I want proof. And the only thing we could come up with, no blood. I said, all right, well, maybe we'll just take him off Lasix. Maybe you don't like Lasix. Because I've taken more horses off Lasix than put them on because it just seems like they race better without it. If they're not bleeding,
They don't
need
need
to be
it.
on it. And then Doc Stewart's up there and he says, you know that he entraps. He's flipping real easy.
He said just the sound he was breathing.
Yeah, he says he's not gurgling. You should cut them straps. He says, I've had tons of luck like that. Well, knock on wood. I mean, unless he proves me wrong tomorrow, and I asked Tyler if he's going to be there, and Tyler said as of right now, he says unless it's raining in the morning, he's not going, or he'll be there unless it's raining. He said he'll go with him, and I just put myself down, but like I'll make sure somebody's either Tyler or a catch driver to drive him because it's like I've done everything I can with him. Right now, he's been training down good, and he's got that attitude where you just show him the whip and he's gone again. It's not like he's breathing funny or anything. So
all right,
tomorrow should be a good mile. I mean, we're in against a couple of decent horses. I think there's one in there that's got a mark at 49, but he should be able to pace. I ain't gonna say he's gonna pace with them, but he should be able to be all right with them guys.
But like, even like Dr. Stewart, he's like, at least the throat, like he scoped him and came out and did like a video scope thing. And he's like, his throat is beautiful. Like it's normal. And it's just these straps that they cut that help him,
they tense up when he's under stress.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So he said that's a good thing. It's not like it's tie back surgery where sometimes it doesn't work. Like this thing should.
We were wanting to qualify him last week, but the hole underneath there it's got to close up by itself. It's not stitched.
Right.
We just had to wait an extra week.
Well, we can't wait for that qualify tomorrow. We'll be watching for sure.
Yeah.
Not about that. Conrad DePogio, we love this trotter. Just been unlucky this year. It's just one of those things. I tend to think that all changes this week. He's, if he behaves himself, he's 2-1 morning line. He should. I think he should destroy this class, but it's a horse race and anything can happen. So, what's your feeling on Conrad?
Conrad, I think he should be all right. Jay gets along with him. He's the kind of trotter that. And every time you get a driver, he's another one of he's like he's like an Australian horse. If you watch his videos, if anybody wants, I can send him a link to the Italy website. When he raced over in Italy, we watched his website. He would run in, run out, just a rubberneck, and that's the way he goes. Over here, they go so much faster. They were going a lot slower fractions, but they go a long distance. They race like 1 3/4 miles, and then they'd sprint home. Here, all the drivers want him straight, and he's just not a straight horse. He won't wear head poles, and straightaways he runs out a little bit, and then he's rubbernecking the turns. He runs in. Tyler's wanting to put a gate strap on him or a gate and pole, and that's where it was bouncing off him the other day when he run. Tyler's like, I let it bounce off him, and he run.
You can't do that.
And you can't do that. I was like, I don't want nothing on him. Let him move his ass wherever he feels comfortable.
Right.
And Jay, if you guys remember when we first bought him, he was going to be second in the open, and he run when Jay went back to the rail and he run. I go, Jay, you can't do that. He goes, I thought he was going to be okay. I go, but you can't go back. He needs to go right. You got to let him.
The same thing happened with Mike Merton at Tioga. Remember?
Yeah,
it did.
He was ready to win that night. Yeah, I was walking to the winner's circle, and then I saw him break. I was like, oh no.
It sucks for us as owners because I own part of them too. It's like when you get a new driver, the horse has to do that so they experience it. Like I can tell them all day long,
but once they do it,
they understand. Oh, I get it now. It's just it's frustrating. But then I got to come back and we all can know what's going on. And it's like I tried to tell him, and that's where me and her get in an argument. She's always saying, "Did you tell him? Did you tell him?" I go, "Yes." I fucking tell him. And we get. It's like I told him.
I'm like, "Did you call the driver? Please call the driver."
And what bugs me about when I used to drive. When I drove, it was always me and my dad. My dad would train him, and I would help. And it's like he would always tell me what I did wrong or stuff like that. It was always when he passed away. I have no interest in racing. Like if you look back, I quit pretty much driving a year after he died. Like it was just no fun. I wanted to focus on what he told me and get better that way. But like when I was driving, I still remember this day. I drove for a couple Amish guys. Malin Frisbee is one of them, and he was a little old guy, probably 5 foot, and he goes, this horse, he says, don't forget, you can't be the first one to the gate, and it's like, it always sticks in my, every horse I drove, I always remembered. You didn't have to tell me. If I drove him 2 weeks in a row, you didn't have to tell me last week.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, you always remember the nasty, the dirty
bats.
things about, the
Yeah.
things you're not supposed to, at least I did anyway. Mike, God, he could drive. He works for me for going on 8 years now. I got to tell him, I'm like, don't forget this horse. And what's he do? Good. And it's like, Jesus Christ, Mike, you drove the horse 40 times.
We love Mike, and don't forget this is being recorded. So
No, I know, but
say nice things about Mike.
Mike's great.
Oh, we love Mike. No,
Mike is the best.
But it's, and he'll sit there and tell you, you got to remind me. I'm like, Mike, I can't. You
But
got to meet me halfway. You got to remember.
Well, in all fairness, he does drive a lot of horses, and I guess you could forget one or two here and there, and
yeah, exactly.
forget their bad habits. All right, let's move on to Soho. Limited experience with him, but we like what we see so far for sure, and he's in a good spot next start.
Soho seems really good. When we first got him, he had a big ass scrape mark, in which they did. The IRT people, they text me when he's on the plane, said he got down in the box stall and scraped his hip up pretty good.
Yep.
And that's still healing to this day. It's probably maybe size of a dollar bill now, but
it was pretty big.
But it was
hard too because it was freezing here and it's warm there, right?
And we had our blanket. We had
to have blankets on him, and it was tough to feel it. So it's definitely hitting there.
But he was, when the videos I look at him over there, they duck him off to last, and he's not that kind of horse over here. And that's the one thing I don't like about some of these horses that come over here. Sometimes they get wound up on the trip. Even the agent, like Frank wasn't the agent for this horse, but he's always told me, he says, it's how you treat them when you get them over here. You just can't come over here and just blast them down the highway like think you're going to go to Yonkers or Meadowlands and just go all they can. He said they'll be good for 2 or 3 starts, and then they just taper right off to a 20 climber. So that's why I always like to try to go to the B tracks. And if you are going to win, or like the other day, it was a good mile, but he did that well in hand. You want to just not stress him out too much. And Jay said he was perfect. Everything he did was like a professional. He wears a cord because he's a handful.
But he's like, the good thing about him is like, we had another horse we bought from down under, and he was just crazy in the paddock, on the racetrack, all that. But this guy, he's like a puppy dog. He's like a cupcake in the paddock, warming up. He's good. So it's good that he reserves all that for the race.
Yeah. It's like when he gets excited, it's like if you watch the winner circle, that he just doesn't want to stand. If you keep him moving,
he was definitely amped up. Yeah.
If you try to make him stand, he's wanting to.
The minute you get the bridle off, put him in the stall, in the best stall, he's like so.
And the one good thing that Tyler did say in the second qualifier, even though he blew the turn, said he was wanting to pull up a little bit when he was clearing, and that's what he kind of went a little wild. He goes, he sat in the hole pretty good. You want to try a mini bit on him, and we were going to do a mini bit. I trained him in a mini bit, and he didn't. He was excited. I said I'm more comfortable with the cord, and I said he's in a spot. I don't want to change anything from what we did last week, and
it's nice he takes care of himself in the barn. That he's not like he is on the racetrack.
But he's he don't hit nowhere, no boots. He's pretty straight. He's everybody. Tyler and Jay said he does everything perfect. So I just don't know how he's going to be like when you got to race him up at Yonkers, where if you don't leave with him, you got to snag him off the gate. But he raced like that over in New Zealand. He came from behind, the back. So it's, I guess it's just going to have to be, we'll see when
at least he can work his way there.
Yeah. That's the good thing. He didn't have a lot of money on his card. I think we said it was around 1,000 coming over.
44 right now. Yeah.
So, he's still definitely under the earnings cap. So, we take it week by week and we build up till, he's ready. I hate to throw him to the wolves right away, let him earn his way and get there.
Looking at the way they rate this condition, you can win it twice and then you got to move out and then you can come back. You can't win it more than twice. That's
okay. Got it. So the next horse is a newcomer, Aaron, who, raced today for the first time, and we were impressed with the effort. We thought we were going to get second today. It was close, but a very, very respectable third. And Rob, if you want to tell us what Matt Kikali had to say about Aaron.
Yeah, Matt said when we first went out there, I thought the hobbles were too tight, and he goes, "No, she's okay." When he scored her down pretty hard up the backside, and he said, "No, she's good." So after the race, he goes, "If I had to take it all back, I should have went back to the rail around the last turn." He says, "But she seems good. She even when she was tired, she trotted right to the end." And he
Yeah,
says, "I thought we were going to get it." He goes, "We would have if I wouldn't have went." He goes, "I just didn't want to switch leads in the middle of the turn." He says, "I already had her rolling."
yeah,
He goes,
yeah.
I wanted to keep our momentum going instead of taking her back." He said, "I didn't know if that horse was going to stop and I had to snatch her." He said, "I'd rather be out where there's free rein, free
Well, he did what
line."
he thought was the right move at the time. I mean, it's
Yeah.
hard, it's easy to second guess after the race.
He
I
says,
mean,
and right there, he says it was windy and it just started raining really hard. And he goes,
mhm.
it was shitty conditions, but she did good he goes, and I don't know where that mile. He said, "I drove that horse last week and our horse beat that horse last week. And that horse looked like a different horse this week."
Oh yeah, yeah, he was impressive. So we'll see what happens next time out. Hopefully, we'll draw favorably.
I'm probably going to put Matt back down since, I mean, he had nothing but
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
these guys are jumping back and forth on horses. They're trying to figure out who's going to make the final so they have something going for the big money.
Right,
So,
right. And look, and it could be pretty wide open heading into the third leg. Who knows? It's going to be a little tough for us, going up against the boys. But she's proven, she can handle the boys. So it's going to be
Yeah,
exciting.
she got a
And
lot of upside for after the series for you
yeah, and
guys.
you know what? We're glad she didn't get claimed. Quite honestly, we like her, and we think she's going to make some money for us this year.
mm-hmm.
So
I mean, if you guys do notice, she has a little hitch in her straightaway. But like when George come up to me after the race, he goes, "Oh, I forgot about her 2 weeks ago." He says, "But she has a hitch in the straightaway." He says, "She ain't gonna run though. You just mush her and she'll go."
I didn't
Make
notice
sure
that. I got to look again. Okay,
yeah, he says,
you have a
straightaway.
better eye for that than I do, for sure.
He said,
But
"Make sure you put me back down on him." Well, then it comes out he's got four, and of course,
yeah, I know.
That's George's favorite thing. Put me back down. He'd rather see himself on 8 horses and then he can pick.
Yeah, for sure. So the new
But
addition, a couple of
wait,
new
Charlie,
additions. Yeah,
I just want to add, Aaron, that I'm very happy that she didn't get claimed today.
Yeah.
yeah,
I had my eyes on her last year. Dan Daly, he raced her as a 2 and 3 year old, put her on gate, couldn't assemble a partnership in time. This is around August or so. She sold for 30,000 to Burke, and then he raced her kind of all over the place. But she is a really nice horse, and I think she's versatile. She can race the half, she can race a mile, she can race 5/8. She trots. She can definitely, and she has a lot of allowances, being a 4 year old and
Yeah.
a mare. She's a really nice addition to the stable, and I think we can actually do pretty well with her long term. I was hoping we would keep her. I was hoping we wouldn't get claimed. So I'm happy that worked out.
great, great. So the last two horses I'd like you to talk about are the recent additions from the Shane Trenton stable, and let us know how those two are progressing.
They
Two
both
Pistol Annie and Enola.
yeah, they both are when Scotty went up and picked up Two Piston Alley.
No, she came home with it, Nikki. He went and picked
When
up
Scotty
Enola.
picked up Enola, Lauren was there, and I guess they said that she's a picky eater, and she is on the not skinny side, but on the frail side. She's not full
She's
and
a
flush.
petite.
Yeah, she's not. Both of them, you would think they're identical sisters. They almost look the same.
They're just,
Enola is a little bit more bare, more lighter.
mhm.
Mhm.
But we pulled both their blood, which I gave that to you guys, and
Yep.
there's a few issues there that are. Enola's racing a lot better than her blood should. That her
Looks
blood is. She's really doing good. But the other one, Two Pistol Annie, her blood shows bad, and she's racing that way.
Mhm. Mhm.
On Enola, she looks good. She's sound. She's got a great attitude. She eats everything. Like I don't know
Yeah, I
why
don't
she's on the
know.
skinny side, because she's everything she's ate. I don't know what they feed. We feed race ready Purina, and not too many horses that don't eat it. But that's why I always stay with it, because they tell me what what we're going to feed. So.
Mhm.
Mhm. Mhm.
But so far she's like acclimated well, like as far as eating and that. So we're happy about that.
Good. Good.
The other mare, she's on the horsey side. Like she wants to squeal at you. I'll jog her, and we're talking Two Pistol Annie. You slap her with the lines to
Not
get her.
slap her.
No, you mush her a little bit, and she rings her tail a little bit, like she's like, you don't need to do that. It's like
Right.
her attitude's a little different, but that can be from tying up or
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like we're gonna probably get her on Regimate and help that side of the
Problem.
That's what happens when you have women.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Pedro, if you want to unmute the group, and we'll open up the floor. If anyone has any questions, speak now. Don't all
One moment. Yeah, one moment.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. They're still muted.
All right. I think everyone's available to ask.
Okay, so all you have to do is click your button to unmute if you want to ask Rob or Patty. Any questions?
Hey, Rob, it's Scott and Ernie. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. I'll be out to see you at the end of July again. Can you talk a little bit about the pool? I think that would be interesting for people to hear what you're doing with that.
Far as swimming, if horses need to go in the pool, we'll swim, and we start them off like at 3 minutes, which it's usually about 30 seconds a lap, and usually start them off at a couple minutes at the first day, and then it's all about getting when you introduce them to the pool. There's a, if anybody's seen pictures of it, there's a in and an out. You want to have them a good experience, because it's the first day they'll always go in. It's the second day that if they are scared, or if you have a bad experience, they won't go back, and you got to force them in, and then it's just an uphill battle from there. So knock on wood, we haven't had an issue, because I always tell these guys that help me. I want 2 or 3 of us. Just let them take them. Sometimes it might take 10 minutes. They'll get their head down, and they'll take a drink of water, and they'll hit it with their feet, and let them play a little bit. Let them know it ain't going to hurt them. But hopefully, we always want to get them up to about 25 minutes, and usually it takes probably about 2 weeks to get them up.
Pedro, do you have any other questions for the Harmons?
No, nothing on my side. If nobody has any other questions, we're gonna keep we're trying to do some big things here. We'll go for glory. We think that we're not just trying to have a fractional ownership group, just to own a couple of horses. What we're trying to do is we're trying to build something I don't want to give away I'm not going to get into details, but we're trying to build something that's hopefully can attract the next generation of fans. So we want something that's going to be self-service, that you can go in there. If Rob and Patty have a horse racing and you like that horse and there's shares available, you can buy that horse. You can sell that horse if you want to move on to a different one. We want to make everything self-service, easy, make it just like owning a share and like a stock or investments in that nature. So there's a bit more things to come. So what you see right now is not the final product. We're going to keep evolving. It's going to take time. All good things come with time. But right now we're in a stage where we're just trying to kind of ramp up. We got the summer. We really haven't even started yet. It's only mid-April. So we got a whole season ahead of us. And, we're very excited. I'm happy with Charlie. Charlie's doing a phenomenal job. Very happy that we merged. Happy to meet all of the Charlie's people from Diamond Racing Stable. And then, it's kind of like merging the Go for Glory people with the Brady Bunch. We're all kind of getting together. And looking forward to meeting everyone at the events. We're going to do the Hambletonian. We're going to try to do some other events at Big Z or maybe with Paul Kelly at Saratoga. So we'll see what we can do. And looking forward to the season.
The other thing too is Tioga. I seen on some of your guys' posts that people like to go to Tioga. The money's decent for the class of horse up there. And if people want to go up and stay the night, you just let me know. You get discounts up there. So the rooms are like $100.
And it'd be fun to do a little something up there, because
if you've never been to Tioga, that is a diamond in the rough up there. It is really, really nice. I mean, I think we knocked out 400,000 now there, and
we had a good couple of years there.
And it's not that bad racing. I mean,
but we keep a barn in the backstretch and a couple people up there,
alleys
and
up there,
switch horses back and forth. Mm-hmm. But it'd be nice to do something up there, because
they got a restaurant, they got a steakhouse right there, they got a casino, things for the kids, they got pool right literally 5 feet off the track.
But the horseman's rate was like $100. It's just great if anybody ever wanted to go up and
Stay the night on
stay
Saturday
the
and watch
night and come
racing.
back to the barn. Like any
We
you
do
guys,
that a lot. We'll go
yeah.
up on Saturday and stay over.
Anybody's
Yeah.
more than welcome to come out to the barn anytime they want. I know Albert's been out there a few times and he enjoys seeing the horses.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can echo what Patty and Rob are saying. It's to me, for my money, it's right now. I think it's the best fan experience in harness racing. I love to go up there. I like to spend the weekend, especially if I can get a horse for the amateurs up there. It's a great time. I love those $5 buffets for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
can't
it's
beat it.
unbelievable. You
Good
can't eat
value,
more.
and like you said, we get those rooms really cheap up there for like 90 or $100. The horseman's rate really nice. You could gamble in the casino a little bit. It's just the way harness racing should be,
Yeah.
and especially like on a Sunday, you get families coming out. You got the swimming pool. It's really a nice time. So yeah, we're definitely going to look to try to get something for Tioga, especially an amateur horse. If I can find one.
Yeah, the
Gosh,
open
so
goes for 16,000 up there. So I think the bottom purse is, hopefully we don't have a horse for the bottom. Like now where's it 1,200 goes for 5,000. I think that's their bottom purse. But even
right.
your now where's a 1 and 2, they go for 8,000. Like you can't beat that for the horse. And usually it's short fields. And that's the one thing I liked about up there. It's short fields. And when you're
Yeah,
bringing in
and
favorites,
the thing
like
too
we were
about
24.
Tioga for us is, we have the connections, we have the people. Rob and Patty are always at the top of the trainer standings, and our driver Mike Merton is pretty much always 1-2. Now that we got
Who
Wally
we really do
out of there
like.
finally, Mike's now he just has to fend off Braxton Boyd. Braxton had a good year last year, good
Yeah.
meet there. So yeah, we got the connections there, and it's a good time, and yeah, for sure, we got to find something to.
And I apologize. Like a lot of times you'll see some of our horses race here and there, and I pretty much them horses they tell me where I'm going to race. I know
Right.
you guys don't want to go to Monticello or Saratoga, but there's sometimes that they race so bad it's like you need to go there. You know what I mean?
Not a lot at
and get your
Monticello.
no. You're
Let's
not
get
gonna
it
you can't pay. You're not going to make a livelihood racing it, but it's a good place to go
just to get one race.
just to get one sharp back up. Let them.
No,
Like,
we know that, and we know how tough the racing is at Yonkers and the Meadowlands. Man, the Meadowlands has been been a tough
for the money you
environment
go
for
for it,
us over the years.
it's tough racing.
Tough racing, fast races,
Yes.
10 horses.
10 horses and you get stretched out, you're 20 lengths out going to the quarter if you
Sure.
don't even get up there,
I like the track, but I don't like racing there. I'm going to be honest with you, but
Well,
that's just me.
that's the for you guys, it's just kind of your business. You do it every day. Rob and Patty, but that is a major advantage. The fact that you can race anywhere, pretty much Poconos, Meadowlands, Monticello, Tioga, wherever they Plain Ridge, you go all the way to Plain Ridge, wherever they fit.
Yeah.
It's a huge advantage. So that's why we're very happy.
I mean, I get a lot of business. I used to get a lot more besides from Ohio. I used to train for a bunch of people from Ohio, but now their money is really good, so they don't send horses out no more. But they would send horses out. Say, hey, this one's good at Saratoga. This one can go. This one can go to Tioga, or this one can race Yonkers, and it's that's just where I have always done it. I go and you'll see on all my horses. They'll race 2 starts here or 3 starts. If they're racing really good, they stay there. If not,
Let's move them.
they're going to go somewhere else, and it is what it is. It's worked for us for the last since we've been out here. But I did that back at home too in Michigan. We raced a bunch at Windsor and Hazel Park and Jackson Raceway. Jackson was like home. That's where I first started. 6-horse field with 2 trailers, and you're racing at a county fair track, and it was. They gave hot dogs, $1 hot dogs. It was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, you race 1,500 climbers going for $1,000, but back then you didn't work. Back then it was when you train back in Michigan, you charge. What did we charge? 20 a day, 15 a day.
Yeah, not a lot.
But that we're talking 15 years ago. Like
Right.
Or 25.
Yeah. Like
Time is a thief.
But
well, I'm hoping.
Bales of hay was $2. Back then bales of hay were $2. Now they're 16. It's times changed.
So we had talked about a month or so ago, maybe trying to get a group of people together and come up to Big Z. We tend to do it once a year, and it's a lot of fun. Get some people to jog some horses and see your operation and get to meet all the all the caretakers. It's a good day. It's a lot of fun. So
Mhm.
we'll see if we can, find a day where we can get maybe 10 or 15 people to come up on a Saturday. I know it's tough. Everybody's all over the place. They all
Mhm.
live far. They have family. They have obligations. They work. But we'll see if we can maybe do something in May. If it ever warms up, we'll do it on a
Yeah.
Saturday morning in May. I mean, the weather's been awful this spring. But yeah, it's always a good time. And, I'll poll the group, in about a week or so and see if we can get enough people to make it worth everyone's while. And then we'll, get those double jaw carts from, I guess, Ray
Mhm.
Schnicker, get them brought up from
Yep.
We
Goshen.
got a few.
Yeah, we got a couple now. So
Yeah. So we'll see what we can do. But, we look forward to tonight. We're going to wrap it up. Tonight, as you all know, we have a claim in. I ran down to Yonkers and put in our claim on Real Lady Sadie. Horse has been going real good. I'm kind of surprised that Latours has had him for a number of starts in a row, and she hasn't been taken. So I went back a little further. I'm like, maybe there's something wrong with this horse, but Dennis reclaimed this horse twice already. So, I've had a long affiliation with the Latourses, and if they kept taking this horse back, then I know the horse is sound, and that's good enough for me. And she's been right there, race in, race out. As a matter of fact, she beat that Beantown Babe who was racing, I think, for some crazy number recently for like maybe 60,000, if I'm not mistaken. It was a crazy, crazy claiming tag, and she beat that mare. So she's a good one. She's got great speed off the gate. Brent Holland does a really nice job with her, and if we can get her, and I think we will tonight, based on there's been no claiming activity, but who knows?
Mhm.
And Jimmy Marone, Jimmy, perfect horse for Jimmy to drive. Jimmy's definitely aggressive with our horses, and if we can get her, I think we can make some money. So we'll see what happens. So if you're up late tonight, the 12th race, check out Real Lady Sadie. So unless anyone else has some last minute questions, we'll wrap it up, and we'll thank the Harmons for coming on, and we hope to see them real soon at Big Z.
Yes.
All right, I
Yeah.
think that'll be it. Thanks, Patty and Rob.
no
All right,
problem.
guys.
Anytime.
Talk
Thank
soon.
you. It
All right, have
was
a good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning
nice
in.
chatting with you guys.
All right.
Bye.
Good night.